We're in Canada, which is home to the most dangerous and unforgiving wilderness on the North American continent. Follow us on our journey as we show you how to survive out here in the wild with nothing but the clothes on your back, a sleeping bag, a slingshot, and a penknife. Not gonna be easy. Food is scarce, supplies are limited. Our team: Stuart, an elite SAS wilderness researcher and professional bug inspector. Joe, professional SAS spear warfare genius and paleontologist primitive wilderness expert. And Charlie, former Green Beret slingshot marksman and expert loot finder. This is Out Here in the Wild. We're now driving to the insertion point to begin our journey, wondering if we'll survive.
And we're walking into what looks like a migration track, which the animals have formed over migrating to different places all over the year. This track has been well used by the likes of grizzly bears and deer, and maybe some foxes. As you can see, it's a good habitat, as we have lots of ferns to use as insulation on our shelter.
As you can see, we're using this path. It's well weathered and worn by the wildlife out here in northern Canada. This place will have been trod by bears, sheep, maybe even a duck. We're going to go up this path, see what we can find. Maybe some shelter, if we're lucky, maybe some food. Let's go.
So as you can see, an animal has been through here quite recently. Looks like something, maybe a dog or a fox, or maybe even a wolf. Wolves are known to roam these territories at night in packs, so we need to be wary, we need to watch out, and we need to be on guard at all times.
You've always got to keep your wits about you up in this wildlife area. So any number of predators could take you out the moment you least expect.
If you follow the tracks, it seems that the animal has gone up here, up this way, into the brush.
So we're going to keep moving.
Hey guys, we're a few minutes in now. I'm already starting to feel it. We've got to a boggy section and we're gonna test our strength and agility to be able to cross this quagmire. I've got a big heavy sack on my back, so I have to see how things go.
We're out here in the wilderness in northern Canada, and we've stumbled across a rather large pine forest. We've smelt bears. We're going to head deeper into the wilderness and look for a suitable place to put up our camp and find a place to settle down for the night.
Okay, hi guys. We're just making our way through this quite treacherous bit of forest at the moment. A bit nervous, if I'm honest. Find what large mammals we might come across. You just never know in these northern territories of Canada what we might come across. I think actually I've come across a berry. I'll just eat that. It's going to give me the energy I need to carry on.
Deep into the forest now. We've entered a more fern-rich environment. This will be a common place for many predators and prey alike to exist, where they can hide and take cover. The trees have got much bigger, and so will the animals. They'll become increasingly threatening. This might even be our downfall. There's only one way to find out in this North Canadian survival expedition. Our destination is on the horizon. The forest before us is the place that we need to get to if we're going to survive this night. But it's difficult going. Predators line the paths that we may use to get there.
Surviving in the wilderness can be fatal. Injuries like this can easily get infected if not treated with immediate assistance. So do not touch every single branch you come across, because some may be riddled with spikes and brambles. How are you feeling after being injured?
Well, as you can see, there's a bit of blood. It's not too deep, but it's causing a bit of anxiety. I have to just keep an eye on it, and if it stops bleeding, then I think I'll be okay.
If you're surviving with someone, you're going to want to try and keep their morale up, because a loss of morale is the #1 killer of men. We've stumbled across a watercourse. Watercourses like this, if not treated with respect, can be highly dangerous. I knew a family once. Father fell right in. Trying to save him, the wife reached in to grab his hand and he ended up pulling her and the rest of the kids in. They were washed downstream and they were found dead. So you want to treat them with respect and they'll provide you
with a good amount of hydration. This water will actually provide us all the hydration we need to keep moving throughout the day. So we're going to drink our own piss.
Come to a point in our journey. We're faced with a steep incline and some densely packed forestry. It's going to be tough to get to the top. But with us banding together, keeping our morale going, I think we'll be able to handle it. No problem. Let's go.
Off we go.
As we ascended in altitude, it started getting to our heads. Came to the realization that we might nearly be dead. We lost all morale and hope, which out here in the wild can be fatal.
So we've reached the tipping point in our journey, our perilous journey, where everything is beginning to take its toll. How are you feeling, Charlie?
I feel like we're gonna die. There's absolutely nothing for it but to give up.
Out in the woods. This is no way to end. We have to keep moving. So this poo has given us some morale and lightened our moods a bit, as we know there is potential prey around the area. Also, a good healthy snack to give us the energy we need to keep moving. I'd just like to point out that it is not a good idea to drink alcohol while in a survival situation. You may think that if you're cold, drinking alcohol will make you warmer, but what it actually does is it actually lowers your internal body temperature, making you even colder.
I knew a man once that drank alcohol and thought he didn't need his sleeping bag. When he woke up the next morning, he was dead.
Right here, we found a rabbit hole. We're going to actually wait for the rabbit to come out so we can get our supper. As you can see, we're in quite a big opening, which can only be described by giant prehistoric creatures which must have rampaged through these areas years ago. As you can see, these trees have been freshly toppled by such animals as mammoths, coelodontas, elasmotheriums, and maybe even the elusive Sasquatch. So as you can see from this log, the bears have been at it again. What they do is they come down to these logs, scratch away at the bark and try and get the creepy crawlies inside. It can be very good nutrition for these birds and keep them rolling for the next day.
And if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me.
So we've finally found a place to set up camp. We've got a good view of the sky here, a bit of an opening, good cover from the trees also. Got some good access to ferns, oak trees and some oak leaves for insulation. We've also got a bunch of trees over there, good coverage, and yeah, just lots of protection from predators. Should be good to set up. What do you think?
We're going to get to work on building a shelter here tonight, where we're going to stay It's going to keep us safe from predators, from the elements, and most importantly, from other humans.
We're in the Canadian wilderness and have found a spot to settle down for the night. It's time to build our shelter before the sun goes down, because what I like to say, if it ain't bright, it ain't right.
What we're actually doing here is gathering some firewood for the fire. We're going to put it all in this trench here and clear some of the area so that these trees don't catch fire in the night.
Humans are not nocturnal animals. If we stay up past nightfall, it could be fatal. It's vital that we gather everything we need to build a shelter before the sun goes down. We've only got a couple hours of light left, so we need to get to work.
This should be good for the structural beams of the teepee. Lots of good powerful trees. You don't want them to be too dry, or they might burst up in flames and start your fire. What we're going to do is break off all the little branches that we don't need on this tree, like so.
And use them for firewood. So you'll have firewood,
See?
kindling, falling off right there.
Clean branch.
Now is we're going to urinate. Because what this is going to do is it's going to ward off any predators. That this is our land and to stay away. So be sure to do this every time you exit your campground. And be sure to always mark your territory wherever you go.
Only one piss is necessary to mark your territory. The rest you should consume. Keeps you hydrated and can keep you alive.
What we're going to want to do is we're going to want to put them all there, get them all ready, and then before we start our shelter, we'll have all the branches ready for the main frame. What we're going to want to do now is cut all of these branches down to the right size. They all need to be similar heights so that they can be put into a nice smooth structure.
What we're doing is we've lined it up here so we can get a bit of clearance. I'm just going to saw right through this puppy.
I'd say there. More
I thought
about
we'd
there,
keep
that's
these
where
on
it
there.
was.
We want to keep these bits here.
So in
Might
case
make
we
it
need
a little
them.
bit easier to tie on.
You're right.
So I'm going to cut it here.
To improve the structural integrity of the structure.
As you can see, making light work of this.
What this is going to do is this is going to saw the branch in half.
Using a self-sharpening saw, we're able to get through this wood like a hot knife with butter.
What we can do is actually, when we get far enough, we can just stamp on it.
Which will probably finish it off, finish the job, and break it to the right size we need.
I'm going to call it there. I'm going to do a big stamp. It's going to be done.
It's going to be done.
Boys. What we're doing is lining them all up, and we're going to make them all the same length. That'll make it easier for us to build the structure of the teepee that we'll be able to survive in through the night.
As you can see, this is the length we wanted, as we've cut it right there. So we're going to line them all up to the right length and cut them all in a similar spot. This is going to allow us to get a proper, nice, smooth structure on the go. We're down to the fifth and final branch now, and we're going to want to snap it using this trench as leverage.
What we've done is we've made a little cut here in the wood. I'm going to place it down and just do one sharp little action, and there we go. As you can see, it's a clean break.
Go on, Stuart, you can get it done.
And as you can see, we've done it.
By boosting our friend's morale, he was able to get the job done without expending too much energy, which is all too valuable out here in the wild.
That one's too long.
We have to keep an eye out constantly for grizzly bears, black bears, and another range of animals ranging around these areas, like wolves, coyotes, and possibly even the elusive Sasquatch.
We managed to salvage some yarn from the wild plants. We're winding this cordage made from the natural plants of the area around these 5 core structural sticks, which will make the main foundations of the TP. By using an interweaving method, we're increasing the structural stability to its maximum potential.
What we're going to want to do is actually check the wind direction before we set up shelter, so that our doorway can be facing away from the wind, and we can put our fire blocker behind the fire, away from the wind, blocking all the wind coming in that direction. So we're going to grab some stuff from the floor and throw it up, and it looks like the wind is going in this direction, so we're going to want to probably face our shelter there so that we don't get our doorway facing the opening directly, but just from this side. What this is going to do is it's going to allow us to get in and out of the shelter without getting blown to smithereens. So we're out here in the wild and we're going hunting, trying to fetch us some lovely dinner. We're going to try and find some squirrels, hopefully don't run into any more bears. These traps out ready for to catch us a nice fresh squirrel for supper. So we've got simple bow like that. Then what we're going to do is cross it over, so we just have like a loop. I'm going to put that like this, so then you've got your firm hole, and turn that over and put that through. Now what that's going to do is anything that pulls on that, it's going to get strangled and hung. What I've actually done here is I've actually set up a squirrel pole. Might not be the most effective one as we're short on wire, but we've got here some pine cone ready for the squirrel's favourite snack, and we got some rope. When the squirrel runs through there, he's going to knock the stick out, which is going to loosen the knot. He's going to fall, get caught in the knot, and it's going to strangle him to death. I love my squirrels that have died a nice, slow, painful death. What you're going to want to do is grab it like a carpet and roll it all up. This is going to create an effect
Known as rolling.
So out here in the wild, we found an egg. Probably going to take this back and salvage what we can. Every little bit is a bit of energy to help us keep moving.
We're having to up the ante and stay extra quiet, for we have just seen a grizzly bear move through this passage. We're going to sneak out, see if the coast is cleared, and we're going to get back to collecting moss, which we're going to use to insulate our shelter. God, the pollen's really getting to me, causing me to cough and splutter. We've got to get this shelter built before nightfall. We don't have long left.
All that way we saw the bear. I'm going to risk it for the moss.
Sucker.
We decided the bear was best left alone. Meddling with dangerous predators can be fatal, and we've still got 2 more nights to go. I knew a man once who tried to fight a grizzly bear. He survived, got away, and was killed in a car accident 2 weeks later. It just goes to show that Mother Nature is always going to come out on top and always get the better of you.
Because it's dark enough as it is. So I'm just going to shove all the debris to the edges of the shelter, which is yet to be finished, by the way. We will plug in the holes later. But for now, just going to want to shove all of this into the corner. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you a bit of insulation on the side and also give room to allow our platform to be properly put down. We're going to make the aim of the game is to make one big giant bed platform on this inside the shelter to lie on, give us that springy feel to our shelter and have a nice comfy sleep.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. We've managed to salvage some plastic bags from the woodland floor. What we're going to do is fill them with mosses, tie them, and that will make a nice comfy mattress so we can have a nice sleep, wake up full of energy into the next day to get a lot of shit done. Let's go.
So we've tied up our bags full of moss and bugs, which brings an entirely new meaning to bed bugs. What we're going to be doing is collecting moss and just putting it on the shelter to fill all the holes. What this is going to do is it's going to insulate us from any heat coming in, heat going out, trap it in, and keep some of the rain out as well if it rains. What we're doing here is we're just layering every bit of pine on the floor in here, and then after we've done that, I'm going to layer this with moss and ferns.
As the sun went down and the night sky shrouded the forest, we began to wonder whether we'd even make it through the night in these harsh conditions. No one said it, but it was on all our minds.
Shelter. We can put the ground sheet down.
Ready to put the ground sheet down, starting the fire. It's going to be really good. I've got resiny hands. Hope my hands don't catch a light and burn up in smoke.
We took a risk and decided to go out and try and find some last-minute food to keep us going through the night.
We're out here trekking through the dark. The most important thing you can do when trekking through the dark is try to use your torch as little as possible.
You need to let your night vision kick in so that you can adapt and be able to see properly. After about 30 minutes, it's almost like being in the sun. We've stumbled across some birch bark here out in the woods whilst we're out at night time, keeping an eye out for grizzly bears. Don't want to get caught in the mix of those. But what this actually here does is it's actually really waterproof, and you could actually put this on your shelter to keep out the rain. It works better than moss, better than most things really, but a great method that I like to use is layer of moss, layer of birch wood outside, and then you've got the perfect waterproof shelter. What we're going to do is we're actually going to run down this hill. Camp. We're back at the camp. I'm going to set up a fire in this trench. Put down a load of stones, set the fire on so it doesn't spread. Because what can actually happen is, even though the ground is nice and wet, the embers can actually burn down into the ground and set fire to the roots, which could start a forest fire. So we're just going to lay down some stones here and set the fire on these stones. What we're going to want to do here
Just sharpen, well not sharpen, but scrape bits of wood off of the stick, which will act as some good kindling for the fire. So we can actually start this fire now. Get down here. Got all of this ready to put on top of it to burn nicely. We're going to want to snap that a little bit more, a little more compact.
Yeah, it's not even going to be cold, I don't think. It's well good, isn't it?
Out here in the Canadian wilderness, it's always cold, but we got lucky tonight and it's actually quite warm.
My spirits are a bit like better now. Because
We're actually going to want to light this fire now. Hopefully it's worked. Got some more twigs underneath the tissue.
here we are. It's actually worked. This is what you want to do.
Get
that
fire
fire
roaring.
Gentle bit of leavage.
We're going to be eating and then we're going to be snoring.
There's nothing quite like that feeling of getting a nice fire going and boosting your morale
I
tenfold.
want to put the buns into the fire yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to get these, put them over there.
We need some. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. We need some bigger shit.
This fire is going to be roaring hard.
This isn't to
But
burn,
once we
this
get
is to
some-
put the...
Once we get some larger sticks in there, the burning should subside, but the heat will be incredible.
Fire isn't that big. Add some bigger ones.
A bunch of logs to put over the fire.
Once they start burning, then we'll be in for a real treat and we'll be able to start cooking.
The sight of the fire has given us all erections. During an erection, the arteries expand to increase blood flow to the penis. The blood flows 2 tubes of spongy tissue to the corpus cavernosa. This causes them to swell, making the penis even larger and stiff. It angles out from the body, the veins narrow, which traps blood and maintains the erection. Out here in the wild, this can actually be fatal. I knew a man once that got an erection from his fire, and it actually blocked off all the blood from his head, causing him to pass out. He fell forward onto the fire and perished in the roaring flame.
By breathing on the fire, you can include more oxygen into it, allowing it to burn hotter and brighter, catching your fuel on fire much quicker.
We've got a fire going now. I'm gonna whack the burgers. We couldn't find a squirrel today, so we bought up some backup food. This backup food will help us get our fill. What this is going to do is allow us to have more energy tomorrow. This is a well good fire. What you're going to want to do now is take the burgers and put them in this metal pot.
Imagine if I didn't bring the metal pot.
That would have been okay. Cooking the burgers. Already got some over there. Some here. Really good.
You should actually never build your fire next to your teepee, as a teepee is essentially a massive fire, and you could actually set it on fire, causing a huge forest fire. Fire.
Bags. Gonna load them up inside the shelter.
We're all snug inside the teepee. What we're going to do is we've actually made this door to put here to stop the elements. Got a little bit of extra protection. And we're putting the shoes and bottles here
just to stop that, just for that little bit of extra protection from the elements. And what that's going to do is it's going to block any wind that might have come in through here. It's not going to be blocked by their shoes. So providing that little bit of extra protection, and should be good to go.
But before we go to bed, there's always work to be done. So I'm actually going to pick up this small bit of fern. I'm just going to try and find a hole, pop it in there. There you go. It might not look like much, but I can promise you that is going to provide a little bit of extra protection from the elements. I mean, it's not going to be much, but out in the wild,
I mean, at the end of the day, that could be the difference between life and death.
It really could.
You're going to want to keep all the bark on your trees as well, because that could have been the,
that could have been the draft. That could have been the last draft you ever would have felt had it not been there. Anyway, it's time for us all to pack it in.
Yeah.
Call it a night in our shelter.
And go to bed.
Go to bed, get some rest, and get up early in the morning to tackle the following day.
Actually forgot about these potatoes here, and I'm going to go ahead and put them right there. And what that's going to do is that's going to block any oncoming wind and just provide that little bit of extra protection. I also got this hand wash, and that's going to go probably wherever the biggest gap is that you can see. Pull a bit of branches in there, a little bit of extra protection, and provide it there. What that's going to do is that's going to provide that little bit of extra protection from the outside.
And as you can see, that water bottle is actually just slightly touching on one of those bracing core structural frames of the teepee. So that's going to provide a little bit of extra structural stability to the teepee. And that could be the matter between the teepee falling down on us in the night or standing strong. And the last thing you want is to be crushed by a teepee.
I knew a man once
Crush your radiant heart.
that had to keep, he kept his fire on outside. What I actually did was he actually woke up and he was on fire, and he suffered very, very horrible burns. So don't leave your fires on at night unless you have a great, good setup for it, because honestly that can mean the difference between life and death. As I said, my friend, knew a man, woke up on fire, and you don't want that. It's not very good.
As you can see, under this jacket we have this bin bag full of moss, full of bugs that we gathered earlier. Now this bag of bugs serves more than just being a pillow, but it's in fact going to keep you company during the night. A bag of bugs will stop you from being lonely. Being lonely is one of the biggest killers out here in the wild. More men die of loneliness each year than they do by attacks from any wild animal anywhere in the world. You cozy there, mate?
Yeah.
Everyone's
What we're
ready
going to do
pack
is we're
it
actually
in.
going to settle down for the night.
Right, one last tip before we pack it in the night. So you can often get a little bit too cold. So if it comes down to a matter of life or death, you might want to just shit yourself, rub the shit all over yourself, and the heat from that might just keep you alive for a couple extra minutes. Alright, well it's early in the morning, just woke up, didn't have the best sleep. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a couple nightmares. I think the scratching of the bugs in the bug bags that we use as pillows actually got into my head. Started having nightmares about giant bugs roaming the wilderness. So just being out here now, I'm just feeling a little bit anxious, a little bit on edge. But just gotta, keep my morals high, keep my morale going, and I'm sure I'll be able to make it through the day. But yeah, just have to get back into the flow of things, and I'm sure I'll be good to go. So yeah, I guess the best thing I can do right now is just try to keep moving.
Okay, good morning guys. We're in the shelter. What that's gonna do is provide a bit of shelter. But what we've done is we've just woken up. 6:30 in the morning.
Gonna get up and we're gonna go outside and we're gonna actually urinate. What that's gonna do, that's gonna empty out all the toxins from last night and allow us to get going. Fresh day, new start. And that's gonna do is allow us to get everything right for today and be able to move on, start fresh. We've decided to go on a little morning walk and stretch our legs and set up the fire and eat breakfast somewhere away from camp. What we're actually doing here is we're actually gathering some firewood. I'm going to set up a fire here and make sausages for breakfast. We brought some backup food in case we didn't find any squirrels or something to hunt. We've only got a slingshot after all, so we can't hunt big game. We're over here in this clearing where it's more suitable to start a fire. Going on the tissue. Now we're just gonna put these sticks over.
It's fucking smoky.
Got a nice fire going. I know a man once that got a fire going.
Get back!
And he actually forgot to move out of the way. Burnt his face off. Don't want to do that. Here is melting the fat from the burgers last night. Make a nice salty broth. Put our sausages in. That's gonna be really nice.
Give us the energy we need to keep cooking.
Well, how much does everyone have?
What we're gonna actually do now, I'm just gonna pop a log on it. What that's gonna do, that's gonna burn nicely. It's a bit damp. Take a minute to start to burn, but once that starts burning, we're gonna have a raging fire. That's gonna do, just allow us to cook our dinner. A lot more efficiency, faster. Just gonna make the sausages nicer. What we've actually done here is we've left the burger fat in from last night. Give it some more flavour.
Give it that beefy, porky, jerky flavour.
And what that's going to do is that's going to give us a little bit more nutrients
Yes.
for our sausage.
What you actually want to do to get that real Jamaican jerky flavour is actually just jerk it around in the pan. And that'll really give it that punchy jerky flavour.
What we've actually just done by accident is we've set the oil afire and the fat has actually caught fire, charring the sausages, possibly ruining it. What we're going to do here though is cut these sausages in half. So that's basically 2 sausages each
For the price of one.
and double the amount of food. Please set fire to the sausages. What that's going to do, that's going to ruin the sausages. We've managed to find some marshmallows and a packet of digestives in the forest somewhere. So we're going to be cooking those up, making s'mores. What that's going to do, it's going to give us all the energy we need. What we're actually going to do now is we're going to piss on the fire. What I've actually just done is we've actually just pissed all over the fire. What that's going to do, it's going to create steam, it smells of piss. That's going to go around, be blown around places. The animal's going to know this is our territory and to stay out.
Yes.
What we're doing here is actually getting some target practice in. I hit this target over here. We've hung on the tree.
here in the Canadian wilderness. There's a lot of things that can kill you. So we're aiming to be able to kill them first.
You want to be able to hit them first time without any complications. And the only way to get that level of skill is through copious, rigorous practice. You're going to have to put blood, sweat and tears into the game if you want to be able to perform to the highest level.
When you're out in the wild, there's no time for playing games. We've had our fill, so it's off to catch our next meal.
Wow. Found a milk chocolate bar. That's going to give me approximately 227 calories. That's going to give me more than enough energy that I need to carry on. Let's keep not going to eat it, put it in my pocket. We're out here resting, recuperating, recovering our stamina for the long road ahead up this hill. The gang is looking very tired, but with a little bit of morale. Come on, boys! We can do it! Now let's get up that hill and continue our adventure. Let's get moving.
So we've actually found tracking this pheasant now for about half an hour. Found some signs. Looking around. Yet to find him. We're out here in the wild. We've seen a pheasant and a squirrel. But
A couple of pheasants actually.
unfortunately, he got away.
We haven't been able to call any of them dinner.
So what we're going to do is try and get the pheasant. They're very shit animals. Will probably end up killing themselves. So it's best to take them out before they do that to themselves. We missed a couple shots. The slingshot. I'm afraid to say, we're not hunting him. He's hunting us. Found a squirrel. That means lunch. So here, what I fashioned here is a simple spear, hoping to find some pheasants. What I've done here is I've sharpened the end of this stick. What that's going to do is that's going to allow some extra sharpness. What that's going to do is allow the stick to go through, penetrate any flesh. So hopefully we find something. We've seen a lot of things, but they've kept running away. It's hard to be quiet here with all the sticks on the ground. Let's keep moving. So we're still out here, prime grizzly bear territory. Haven't found one yet, although we are trying to avoid the big game like grizzly bears, black bears and wolves. What we do want to find though is some pheasants.
We had to head back. The hunt was unsuccessful. Mother Nature can be a cruel mistress, and we've learnt that the hard way. We will not be eating tonight.
What we're going to do, so we're just layering these ferns inside on the floor. What that's gonna do, so that's gonna provide that protection from the underground. Most of your heat is lost from the floor and you're asleep, so that's gonna do is gonna stop us from getting cold in the night.
It's going to provide a layer of protection from beneath, because it's not only the cold you got to worry about here, it's the bugs. And all last night we could feel bugs nipping away at us, trying to get inside us. This layer of protection, it's going to be just that little bit of extra protection. It's going to protect us from bugs.
It won't do much, but there'll be that little bit of extra protection.
Better than nothing. And you know, out here in the wild, every little helps.
Yeah.
So let's get back to work and then get a good night's sleep. We're now back out in the field collecting ferns. These ferns will be used to line the top of the structure, and some of them will also be used to go underneath where we're actually going to be sleeping, because as any shelter builder should know, you actually lose most of your heat through the ground while sleeping. So it's important to get a nice base layer of ferns on the floor, which is going to trap some of that heat, start you from freezing to death. I know a man once who actually built a shelter. He didn't put any ground layer underneath him, and he woke up and he couldn't move because he was actually solidified in a massive block of ice. It took a team of 20 men to get in there to crack him out and thaw him out before he could even move again. And that's one thing I definitely don't want to be happening to me.
Do now, we've brought up a slack line, that's what this is, just for a bit of fun. Always good to have fun whilst you're surviving. What we're going to do here is throwing leaves all over the shelter. What this is going to do is provide that little bit of extra protection. It's also going to provide some camouflage, so it'll be less likely to be spotted by wild animals such as grizzly bears, predators. They pose a threat.
We're preparing for night 2, so we're back on the grind. I'm out here cutting down a couple of these branches. They provide a nice, leaf coverage. We're going to use these to augment our shelter because last night was a little bit cold. So we're going to add a couple more layers of this and a couple more layers of moss on top that will really fill in the gaps, keep the warmth in, and hopefully we'll have a bit more of a comfortable night. So I'll report back in a little bit.
We managed to wander across some more burgers and sausages in our bags. It's time to settle down for the night and consume the food that we do have.
Getting dark now. What I've actually done, fashioned proper door using a bit of lace from our boot and a zip tie. We were able to tie it on, nice secure. Now we've got a nice foldable door. Pull it up to get in, put it down to get when you get in. And yeah, looking well good. And what that's going to do is it's going to protect us a bit more from the elements. Probably throw a couple more leaves on the top there. I can see an opening, but we're all done now.
Shelter's finished, plugged up the holes. Some firewood ready. It's getting dark. A bit lighter than it seems on camera, but this is how it is. What I've actually gone and done is when I was raiding a bird's nest earlier, managed to find myself fully functioning, brand new lighter. Poor soul that lost this. I don't want to know what happened to him. But we can use this to light our fire, which we've started with some tissue. We can do that now. What that's going to do, provide us a catalyst in which we can cook our food and keep warm. What we're actually going to do now is going to light this tissue. What that's going to do, that's going to make a fire. I'll plonk that on top. Probably should have let it burn a bit before I plonked that on top. It wasn't the smartest thing to do.
He's a fucking idiot.
What I'm going to do now, I'm going to hold that up so I don't burn my hand. What that's going to do, it's going to burn nicely. I'm going to plonk that on top. And then the fire's going to go out and I'm going to have to do it again. Manage to start it. What that's going to do, it's all going to catch on. Some twigs. And we're going to put some big logs on top of that. Dropped it, not to worry. What that's going to do, it's going to make a nice fire.
So we're here, second night, second dinner. Just cutting up some potatoes and we're going to primitively fry them in this little metal sort of container that we found, and yeah, try and make some sort of makeshift fries. We've got some burgers, got some buns. It's going to be a good time with the lads around the fire. Always good to get around a fire, get a good hearty meal in you.
Relax.
Not only does it give you energy, but it boosts your morale, and morale is probably the most important resource we have out here. Without it, you'd certainly all go crazy. Nobody wants to be around me when I've gone crazy.
You're going to want to do, pour seasoning, get a nice texture, nice flavour, flip it over, the seasoning on there, like that. That's going to do. That's going to be really ready to go in the pan.
Just going to give it that punchy, jerky flavour that we all know
pan.
and love.
What we're going to do now, grab that pan, plonk them in there, like so. So it's going to need to fix that because I made a dog's dinner of it. It looks shit. Now we're going to put it on. You don't want the fat in the pan to catch fire.
And then once those are cooked, they're going to turn out just like this burger. Well cooked. It's going to kill off all the bacteria, give it a nice melt in the mouth texture, and that is actually going to be good to go.
If you want some nice tuna flavour with it, what you can actually do, you can actually get rid of the burgers and then put tuna in there, and what that's going to do is it's going to make it taste like tuna.
As I sit here by the fire, the open wound in my finger has been throbbing, causing a bit of anxiety. Surrounded by my friends, I'm starting to feel better, and that's the only thing that's going to get me through to the next day.
The anxieties of being out here, stranded in the woods, is really starting to get to me. I can hear the voices coming from between the trees. The only thing keeping me safe is the crackle of this warm fire before me.
These are some of the most precious moments you will spend out here in the wild. I like to take a moment to take it all in and think about all the dirty things I'm going to do to the missus on my return. I've got a sack full of surprises for her, but until then, I hope me and these boys can have a safe night's sleep. We did one last sweep of the area to make sure everything was right before we settled down for our last night in this survival expedition.
We're out here, just enjoyed our lovely second
Echo!
dinner.
And it's echoing, as you can see.
It's only us out here, just enjoyed our second dinner, burgers, tried to make some chips, but they failed horribly. So yeah, about to pack it in for the night. We're all really tired. You know, just get that final bit of energy.
Final bit of energy out to give us energy to get into our shelter.
Yeah.
And actually get into our sleeping bags.
Well, what that's actually going to do is keep us warm at night, keep us protected from bugs, who have been probably our biggest nemesis during this whole trip.
Nemesis.
We were almost just absolutely devoured by bugs last night, so hopefully it's going to keep us nice and safe. And what that's going to do is give us enough energy to wake up in the morning, keep moving, maybe get out of here, hopefully get out of here alive. Can't make any promises, but that's what we're all hoping for, isn't it?
Yeah, and what I think's happened is actually the moss that we stole from the ground has had some bugs in it, and I think the bugs that we left there, the friends of the bugs that are on our shelter now, have actually discovered our location and swarming, bringing back up and infesting our shelter with even more bugs. So
I guess for now,
just gonna have to deal with
there's
it.
nothing for it, we'll just keep moving.
Nothing for it.
Alright, well thankfully we were able to get that meal down us. Gave us just about enough energy to climb into the shelter and get into our sleeping bags.
Collapsed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we're just tucking in now. Any last words for the morning, Stuart?
Love you guys. It's been a stressful evening, but we managed to get the energy
Stressful.
we need to get good sleep inside of us.
We're all running fairly low on energy, so I just hope I can wake up alive. And most importantly, I hope I can wake up with these boys here alive next to me.
Yeah.
So we run out of energy in the middle of the night.
As we drifted off into slumber on our second and final night, we knew not of what could be lurking outside our shelter. An all too familiar chill ran down our spines.
What's actually happened? So I've just been woken up. I presume something large predator outside. It's about 3:15 in the morning. There's something outside, stalking us. Don't know where he is. The shelter's just been rocked, shaken. Some of the branches fell down. Stuart's covered in dirt. Charlie's covered in bugs. I've actually done. It's actually shaken. A couple of branches here. What that's hopefully going to do is warn off the enemy. The predator probably gets scared, seeing the shelter move. So hopefully that will shock him off. What that's going to do is allow us to get a good night's sleep. So my energy's running low. We're on energy now. Probably going to shut down completely in a few moments. Just getting the last bits of energy out now. I'll give you guys a report. Grizzly bear, something outside, something large. Probably Woken up this morning, nice and fresh. Smell, morning dew. Gave us morale to get out of our sleeping bags to actually start packing up, heading out. Got a long way. What that's going to do is going to allow us to get out and get some proper food, some proper restaurants, go to McDonald's, some McNuggets, maybe even McFlurry.
Just woken up on the second night of the adventure, and the end of this survival expedition is on the horizon. Going to do one final push to escape the forest with all of our stuff, preferably alive, and then we'll be smooth sailing from there. Get back in the car and head back home. Really looking forward to get to see my family again and just have a little bit of a relax. This whole experience has been very challenging, pushed us to our limits, but just one final push, we can just gather some energy, gather a little bit of morale. I think we can do this.
Morale is
get
key
back
to
out.
everything, but you never want to get your hopes fully up when you wake up on the last morning, because it's never guaranteed you make it out alive.
Yeah.
It's an unforgiving place, the wilderness, surrounded by bugs, bears, mountain lions, which can always take you down.
Take you down to
Yeah. Chinatown.
Yeah.
Our journey is almost complete. We just have to get up, get packed, and head to the extraction point. But this will not be easy. Nature can be cruel, and we're still always going to want to be on guard. Some people make the mistake of letting their guard down, which can result in them getting their hopes up and actually dying on their way out.
We're now departing from the shelter. Gonna make one final push. Get out of this wilderness.
Get out of here alive.
Get to the extraction. Hopefully, get out of here alive.
What you want to realise is there's one thing that you should always keep in mind, is that when you're leaving your shelter and you're heading home, make sure you leave with your bearings. So if you don't leave with your bearings, that could be fatal.
Just before I go, I'm gonna spend 5 seconds to pay some respects to the shelter that's provided us with such a great living experience and quite frankly kept us alive. Right, that's enough of that. Now, you know what it's time for? It's time to get moving. Here we've stumbled across a bright purple plant, known commonly as the death bell, but as the widow's kiss by the Mongolians who trod this land many years ago. It may seem appetizing to eat, but I know of a man who once ate these and he did not last long. He woke up in the morning, walked out of the forest, dead.
One last push now. Up this hill till we reach the extraction point. How are you feeling, Stuart?
Pretty elated. We've only got one more section to go. We'll be out of here.
Won't be too long now. So we've actually made it to the extraction point now. It's a long, perilous journey. It's very hard. Could have been fatal. Charlie.
Pretty knackered, pretty slimy. Can take a little more than that to stop me.
Yeah. Could have been fatal. Managed to push through.
It's been a humbling adventure and a great journey. We've endured the elements, surpassed obstacles, serious injuries, and we've eaten a healthy amount of shit, bugs, and burgers. It's pushed us to our limits and made us realise that if you're not prepared or you make the wrong decisions, you're as good as dead.